Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video we're going to be talking about Red Dawn foreign assistance. Okay, so we're talking about a 1980s movie where in some alternate reality the United States has been invaded by the Soviet Union and Cuba, and they are occupying half of it, and we have people behind enemy lines that are forming militias to fight the communists. So in this video we're talking about possibly getting some foreign assistance. There is a reference in the movie that we are allies of China. Okay, there's a pilot, that's injured in the movie that tells us that we started off with 1 billion screaming Chinese, and we're now down to 300 million screaming Chinese. So we can infer from that the Chinese are actively fighting the Soviets. Also at the beginning of the movie it tells us that NATO has fallen apart, so we can probably kind of guess that there's also some fighting going on in Europe between the Soviets and and the Europeans. So from our perspective, what can we hope to get in terms of foreign assistance? They may be able to provide us with some supplies, particularly guns and ammunition. Okay. In mid-1980s, AKs, AR-15s are not all that popular yet. They really didn't become that popular until the Clinton ban. Okay, and by banning them, they became the most popular guns in America. But at that point, AKs and ARs are not that widely owned. So in the movie, we start off with hunting guns, and then we end up using AKs, and presumably we're getting them as battlefield pickups. But we might be able to actually get some directly from the Chinese if there are allies in this, okay? It's not likely they would be providing us with food because, food does kind of go bad, as you're trying to transport it over long distances. So primarily we'd be looking for things from them that we can't get on our own. And under a Soviet occupation, we really can't make guns and ammo, okay? We might get them to attack some hard targets for us. It would most likely be along the shoreline, right? They probably wouldn't be able to get deep into the United States to attack, let's say, missile bases, or so that's a possibility. The other thing that they might be able to do for us is help the different militias that we have coordinate with each other. We probably don't have very good communications technology, so they might be in a position to do that for us. So this is something that they might be able to do for us here in the United States. But more importantly is what they might be able to do for us offshore. Okay, they might be able to attack offshore assets of the Soviets. And the basic idea here is that if the Soviets are busy fighting the Chinese and they're busy also fighting the Europeans, that's less resources that they can put into fighting us here in the United States. So we want to try and spread out the Soviets as thin as possible. So ideally, we want, even in other areas around the world that might be under Soviet occupation right now, we want to get, militias fighting all over the world. And that might come back to this, right? As far as coordinating militias, the Chinese might be able to supply, arms to different militias around the world to just keep the Soviets busy, so they're not just focusing all their efforts in one area, okay? Now, they might also be able to actually attack the supply lines, okay? Because the Soviets, they got to bring, men, equipment, and other supplies all the way from Russia to the United States. And China is kind of in the way, okay? And likewise, if they want to come the other way, Europe is kind of in the way. So that's a long distance that they have to travel, even though they may have, the Soviet military may be very powerful at their bases where their troops are concentrated. Supply lines are typically very vulnerable, and they will typically be using civilian labor on those supply lines, and they're going to be very lightly armed. So this is a something that our foreign allies could do for us. They might also be able to attack food and fuel at the sources. Okay, so I believe there's only one place that's producing fuel in the Soviet Union at this time, in the Ukraine. So the Chinese might be able to attack that directly. or again, they might be able to attack the supply lines as it's being transported, or if there's any, intermediary stations where they're storing it, they might be able to attack those sources, okay? And they also might be able to attack the communication stations, right? Because this is prior to satellite technology, or satellite technology may be in its infancy. But if our foreign allies are able to attack different relay stations along the way, it would cut off communications between the Soviets here that are occupying the United States and the Kremlin, basically. Okay, so that's something that our foreign allies might be able to do for us. It's very important for us to consider that during the American Revolution, okay, part of the overall American strategy, and we are talking strategy here. When we're talking about foreign assistance, we've gone beyond just tactics. Now we're talking about a strategy to actually win the war. It was the strategy of the colonists to get France involved in the war to help fight the British. Okay? Because at the time you had two superpowers. You had Britain and you had France. It is highly unlikely that the colonists would have been successful at that point in time unless they had the assistance of the French, okay, during the American Revolution. And the French provided, arms, ammunition. They provided actual soldiers, right? And very important, they provided us Lafayette, okay, who was a military commander that was extremely valuable and basically assisted George Washington and his other commanders, okay? Really important, and what's often neglected, okay? One of the great things that the French did for us is that they attacked the British assets in the Caribbean, okay? At the time, the true wealth, the true moneymaker of Britain was in the Caribbean, okay? So by the French moving their navy down there and threatening those British assets, Britain had to move its navy down there. And that's really the reason why we won that battle at Yorktown, where Cornwallis surrendered his army to George Washington. The reason why Cornwallis, went to Yorktown is because he was expecting the British Navy to show up with reinforcements there. Okay, the reason why the British Navy never showed up with reinforcements is because they got tied up with the French Navy. Okay, so that was the key component of that victory at Yorktown. So again, by keeping the British Navy busy, they were not able to assist Cornwallis at Yorktown. So that really is what forced that surrender. So again, so these are the things that our foreign allies can try and do for us. Just keep the Soviets busy at different points around the world. And finally, one of the things that they might be able to help us with is a full-scale invasion, similar to the the American invasion of France during World War II. Okay, and in that case, what happened is the militias, or the French resistance, as it was called in France, they provided intelligence to the Allies for that Normandy landing, and then even when they got on the ground over there, they continued to provide intelligence to the Allies. So that would basically our role as a militia would change if let's say Allies actually got onto U.S. soil and were trying to defeat the Soviets militarily here. Now, the one thing to be careful with foreign allies that are actually invading your land is that you may be basically trading out one conqueror for another. Okay, and again, the example of World War II, the United States invaded Europe on one side, and yeah, we kind of got out after the war, but the Soviet Union also invaded Europe from the other side, and they chose not to get out. So the Soviets actually, occupied the areas that they freed, and that's where the Iron Curtain went up. Okay, so that's a possibility that you may be able, your allies may be, they may be helping you now, but later on they may be your conquerors as well. These are the things I wanted to mention about with regards to foreign assistance. And like I said, now we're talking about overall strategy to win the war. And in a situation where half the United States is under occupation, right? And the American army has been pushed back, or half of it's been defeated, and all you have left is the other half. In a situation like that, you're not looking at a short-term war. You're looking at something that's long and drawn out, and you're probably going to need some foreign assistance if you're at the point where half of your country is occupied. So a couple of things for you guys to think about. If you guys have anything to add, please put it in the comments section. Give the video a thumbs up. It helps. It helps it come up as a suggested video, and more people get to see it and join the channel and become members. And also, the higher membership number we have, again, more people, it comes up as a suggested video. I look forward to talking to you guys soon.